4, Alpha, Windows Zetas teams on all sides.
Copy that.
Hey guys, it's Gaba VR, and in this episode I will recreate a scene from the movie Gemini Man. Because believe it or not, there's a 360 shot right in the beginning. Or was it shot with an ultrawide fisheye lens? Let's investigate it. If you are following my channel for a while, you could have seen me recreating movie and music video effects with a 360 camera. Just think about the teleportation effect from Jumper, or this motion trail music video effect. But I also played around with clones with a scene from Life of Brian, and this crazy transition from an A$AP Rocky music video. And now let's talk about the recent blockbuster of Will Smith. Right in the beginning of the movie there's a train scene which I found a little bit weird at first. You know, it's a real movie, really cinematic, but there's a strange cut there where the aspect ratio is also changing for a second. And after that the editor didn't cut back to a normal scene, but he put another irregular shot there, making us looking through a telescope. And then everything is getting normal and we can't see such weird shots in the movie again. Yes, I'm talking about this train scene, and besides I found it a little bit weird in a Hollywood movie. As a 360 content creator I liked it so much because I was sure that it was shot with a 360 camera or with a really wide fisheye lens. So the main question is, can we recreate it with a normal camera, or did they really use a 360 camera to take this shot? Let's check it out. You know, a huge part of the movie was shot in Budapest, which is very exciting for me as I live in Budapest. But unfortunately this particular train scene takes place in Belgium, so I had to find a similar spot in Budapest instead. Or actually everything is very different here. The only thing looks similar is there's an empty field on the other side of the train track. And that's why if everything goes well, my final shot will be a little bit similar to the original one. But let's analyze the scene a little bit. As you can see, it's quite a low camera angle where the rails cover each other in the distance, and we mostly have a side to the sides instead of looking down from a normal eye level. Even more when the train is crossing the scene, we can look through under it. So first I'm trying to go low with the camera to reach that height and looking at the result with not so fancy trains, taking some test shots. And now let's take a look at the original movie scene again. Looking at the full picture you can see that the electricity poles are standing in the same distance in both directions. So the camera should be exactly halfway between them, making a perfectly symmetric composition. I guess it's a standard distance between the poles here in Europe, so shooting from the middle point I should get the same result. It's not so complicated to find the perfect distance looking at the poles, but of course the electric wires can also help a little bit. I just stand under the middle connecting point. So as the camera height and my position between the poles seems okay, there's only one thing left. I have to find the perfect distance from the rails, and looking at the original movie scene again, it's not so difficult either. Taking a look at the electricity poles, we can perfectly see them from the side. It means I have to stand exactly on the virtual line between the two poles. Or taking a closer look at the scene with the train, the pole obviously covers the side of the train. So maybe the camera is a little bit further from the rails and it's not exactly in line with the poles. So maybe I should step back a little bit from the line. But you know, I don't believe that this scene was so conscious and they planned it so much. I think symmetry is the basic idea behind the whole composition, and they wanted the train to feel the full length of the frame as it's crossing the scene. And it doesn't really matter if you go one step closer or further, it doesn't affect anything so much. But the most important question is whether they took that shot with a cinema camera, or did they really use a 360 camera only for the sake of this single B-roll shot in the movie. Well, if I put my camera with an extremely wide 8mm fisheye lens on it in the perfect position, it seems like capturing both poles on the sides is impossible. And looking at the train passing through the scene, I can say that despite the perfect distance and height, the angle of view with an 8mm fisheye lens is not wide enough to cover the top of the train either. So funny truth about Gemini Man, that there's one single 360 shot in the movie with the train passing by. It's funny to think about that the crew rented a 360 camera and took it to the rails for this particular B-roll shot, especially because it doesn't fit the movie very well, as I mentioned in the beginning. It has no special role and this view doesn't come back in the movie again. But after all, let's see how we can recreate this shot. I wanted to be sure to get it, so I mounted a 360 camera on top of my DSLR. Let's check out that footage too. As you can see, the original 360 video is a little bit wider than needed, but moving it on a 4K timeline I can crop the extra parts and align this scene in the middle. So now both electricity poles are on the sides and it looks almost the same as the original movie scene. Due to the monopod I mounted on the top of my DSLR, my 360 camera was a little bit higher, so as you can see my version is in a little bit higher angle. But now let's see it in 4K. I think it's really nice that I didn't have to reframe or edit the flat 360 video so much. I just only cropped the sides and that's all. But there's only one thing I don't really understand about the scene. As you can see, it looks perfectly in 4K, so why did they crop it? As I showed you, the aspect ratio is changing for a moment for the sake of this B-roll, as they inserted black bars on the top and on the bottom of the frame. And I don't really understand why, because if they had matched the aspect ratio perfectly, it would have fitted the whole movie better and it would have looked even better. But as they made this artistic choice, I cropped my video as well. That's how it looks like after cropping. And here is my shot in the movie after changing the original one. I hope you enjoyed analyzing and recreating this 360 scene from a Hollywood movie, and if you are interested about my further techniques recreating film tricks with a 360 camera, check out this playlist in the right top corner. And if you like this video, please thumbs up, and for further 360 contents and tutorials, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and see you next time!